From the soil of Guyana to the stages of the world, stories were never just written. They were lived, felt, remembered. Tonight, we honor the pen, the stage, the legacy. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Georgetown lights to destiny. We tell the truth, we set it free. Culture speak, let the drums reply. Lift this story, amplify. From the roots to the sky we cry. Caribbean spirit will never die. Ink on paper turn fire on stage. Every line carry truth and rage. Village stories, pain and pride. Now the whole world watching wide. From barrel to the visa scene. Life unfolding every dream. Macantali still echo loud. Hear the ancestors through the crowd. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Georgetown lights to destiny. We tell the truth, we set it free. From Guyana to foreign land, still the script in steady hand. Culture travel never lost, but respect must know the cost. Honor righteous, pay what's due. Every story belongs to who? Not for gift, not for show. Give the flowers while they grow. Lights down, curtain rise, truth living in disguise. Voices calling from the past. Tell it right, make it last. Mentor hands, guiding flame. Legacy bigger than a name. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Guyana to globally. We stand in truth eternally. Drums of culture, let them play. Stories live beyond today. Raise the banner, make the way. Caribbean voices here to stay. Respect the art. Honor the creator. Protect the culture. This is legacy.
That's right. That's right. This is Legacy. This is Legacy. And I am yours truly, DJ Quinn. I'm taking this opportunity to welcome you in to another edition of the Forefront Today exclusive interview with Harold A. Bascom, a playwright, a poet, a cultural icon, a mentor. And I am definitely glad that he said yes to come on in to be with us right here in Forefront Today and on Facebook. And so without further ado, tonight we honor a man whose pen has preserved culture, challenged identity, and shaped the Caribbean stage. A 5-time Guyana Prize for Literature winner, a storyteller of the people, Mr. Harold A. Bascom. And so let's begin by welcoming you, Mr. Bascom, to the show, Forefront Today. Welcoming to you on behalf of the crew. Mr. Harold Bascom, please put your hands together for my friend, my playwright friend, as I call him, Mr. Harold A. Bascom.
Thank you, Cleveland. You know, I have to say something. That introduction touched me. I never realized I did so much work. You know, it got me emotional. I did a lot of work. Yeah,
Okay.
my God.
You did, and that's why you deserve to be spotlighted here in Forefront. So if nobody ever told you in a long time that we're proud of you and we appreciate all the work you do on behalf of Forefront today, on behalf of the Guyanese here in the diaspora, thank you so much, Mr. Harold Bascom, for all you did in keeping this culture and these arts alive and well.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Let's begin with where it matters most, Mr. Bascom. Tell us who is Harold A. Bascom, and then also tell me, what do you want me to call you tonight? Because you got many, many accolades.
Call me Harold, man.
Harold, cool.
Of course, you just said I'm the Guyanese playwright who won it 5 times. Plus, I won the Caribbean Award, which is not an award that is very popular. But many know me. If you ask people, you know Bascom, they say, oh, the banner that used to draw on the ferry boat. I grew up in New Road, Vreeden Hoop, is over from Georgetown. And I worked, and I would cross on the boat and I would fill sketchbooks with people. People would see Harold and would start blushing and turning away because I filled sketchbooks. That was my thing. I kept drawing. And I think I was the youngest ever art director in Guyana, because at age 19, I was working at Old Chronicle. That was 72. I was 21. Old Chronicle next to Guyana stores, talking history here. And I wanted a job as an artist. I always wanted to be like these white guys on the back of comic books, Norman Rockwell. I said, man, I want to be an artist like one of these guys. Of course, my father said, well, why this boy don't get some work? He that doing stupidness, drawing. And I had a defender, my mother. As we said, God rest the dead. My mother wasn't a headmistress or any intellectual. She was just a humble housewife. And when my father started berating me for being a lazy man and want to do stupidness, she said, leave Harold alone. He knows what he's doing. And I remember my mother for that. My father, who was critical, my mother died before I really started to become prominent. And in terms of prominence, I started illustrating the Chronicle Sunday short story written by guys like Alan Fenty and Roy Bramell and Ruth Lalmonar. And that was the first time people saw the name by Harold Bascom. And things got better. Because after I was working with Eddie Hooper at Chronicle, Eddie Hooper left and I became the youngest art director then. And then the African-American Tom Feelings, he was a book illustrator. Burnham invited him to come to Guyana to teach a group of young Guyanese artists how to do books, how to do readers. Because Burnham realized that if you are to become yourself as a nation, you can't be relying on books being imported with images of white children. You need to have your own books with Black and Indian and other children. And so Tom Feelings, this African-American guy from Brooklyn, he came and he got me Victor Dawson, Roy Bess, and we got together at QC Compound under the Ministry of Education. I left the Chronicle, became a Ministry of Education worker. And I learned to design books and illustrate books. And then Tom left and I took over. But then I did the very first supplementary reader, Our First Village. And that was the start. People started seeing children in books that looked like them. Of course, they were the critics. Like Bascom always drawing them ugly-looking children. But I never drew an ugly child. What my detractors and critics were talking about, they were used to seeing white children, light-skinned children, soft-haired children. And so they thought that it's called self-hate. But they got over it. And so people would say, wait, Bascom, who illustrated the Mocka Tree? Yes. Bascom, who did Comfort Drums Are Calling? Yes. Bascom, who illustrated Balran's New Home. So that's where people started to know the name. I was very, very young then. And well, you asked me some questions, but I don't want to keep rambling on.
And that's all I'm going to tell you, Harold. You want to take me? You want to take me to adulthood? I want to start from when you were playing marbles and rolling tires in the village. Where did you actually grow up?
I was born in Virginia, but I came away at age 5 to Best Road, and Best Road was aligned to New Road, Reading Hope. It's over from Georgetown, and this is where my father built a house in New Road. And I grew in New Road, Reading Hope, to a point, and then I went to Linden. I grew in Linden. So as it was said at the back of my early books, I had a rather nomadic kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
I lived in New Road. I lived in Port Drawing, Middle Street. I live in Linden. As a matter of fact, I was in Linden at age 13 during the racial riots. So I've been around.
A little things in common you and I have. You and I have. I lived in Linden. I was born in the Namsdale, and I know folks in Virginia. Shouts out to the folks in Vega, and I used to hang out in Reading Hoop, Port Drawing, Good Fortune area, and so we got some things in common.
All right.
So I know about riding over the bridge and getting on the ferry and getting over to Reading Hoop, and so. But did you play marbles? Did you roll a tire? Did you climb mango trees? Tell me about those days.
Making guns out of a piece of timber, and you got your rubber, and you got your mechanisms for press a wire and it slipped. I had a full childhood, man. But of course, I was a little odd amongst my brothers because I was a guy who used to collect cricket shells. They look beautiful to me. I was the one who used to be in the back trench making my own little aquariums. I was the one who at the bottom house. I'm imagining I'm George Washington Carver and squeezing the chlorophyll out of leaves and trying to make medicine. So, of course, they said, this might be weird, but it was a foreign of my creativity.
Well, in my days in the village, we took pawpaw stems and made trumpets. We took drums and tin cups and pots and caused a whole band to be formed. We use all kinds of stuff to make microphones. So it started somewhere. But you had this creativity, which I saw some pictures. I can pirate your page. I saw you building cars. So was it there where you got this creativity to build on things, your creativeness?
No.
The child in the village?
That creativity that runs through the Bascoms comes from my father, Harold A. Bascom. I'm a junior.
You're a junior, okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you about my father. And I would say it with pride. My father never had any schooling. My father was a street boy. He learned the hard way. His mother died very early, and him and his siblings got separated between families. But he ended up at an uncle who had a wife who didn't really want them. And so my father and his brother, my Uncle Remington, God rest the dead, they were street guys dancing for money on the streets and stuff like that. But
you mean masquerade dancing or
no?
The regular.
He used to call it something called. He called it jubber, and he used to show us how to do the jubber. I don't know. Maybe it has an African something. But my father, in my first novel, Apata, the story of a reluctant criminal, I made sure I immortalized my father. He's a character in the book.
Okay.
My father was like this. I can remember he said, the way they make the Spanish guys would be hanging around hoping that somebody would call them looking for a job. My father said one morning, he used to go by the estate looking to see if he can get a little tech on. And he said they would stand up there waiting. And as he waited, he saw there was a guy starting an engine, and he looked at his engine and he memorized every step of how to start this donkey engine. And he said one day, he and the rest of the guys appeared there, and there was nobody to start the engine. Maybe the man is sick or something. And some foreman come out and said, anybody know to start this engine? And my father said, me. And he went over to the engine and he started to titivate and thing. Next, boom, 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 boom. Engine start. Very ingenious guy. My father made all the furniture in the house I grew. He made a house. He
Wow.
built cupboards for books. The man didn't have no schooling. The man was talented. He made chandeliers. He was a joiner, a carpenter. He was an entrepreneur, Harold Bascom. I think
Back in those days, you call them jack of all trades.
Yes, I got that from him.
Mm.
There were other brothers like Kenneth. I mean, he was very good as an artist, but I'm the one who decided to make it a career. But as I'm talking about neurovredenhoek, it's going to be a sweet segue into how I wrote my first novel.
Because I wanted to ask that question. What shaped you, your voice as a storyteller? Of course. So segue me into that. What shaped you into that voice as being a storyteller? So go right ahead. Tell us about that. What shaped
I
you?
had a friend named Rudolph Thomas. Rudolph wanted to become a poet. So we would walk, he would talk about his poetry, he would talk about his romances, he would talk about what he's going to do. He's going to be this big novelist. We would go by the seawall, by the jetty and gaze, you know. And what is that? I turned out to be the writer. And he is still hoping to become the writer. I think he'll get there. But in New Road, in front of our house, there was a guinea tree. And I, at age 8, remember standing below that guinea tree and seeing these big police trucks, police rumbling up to Perica, and the people and the villagers talking, coffee, coffee, coffee. They kill coffee, they find coffee. Coffee kill police. And I grew with that thing. And in the end, I wrote a novel about the Clement coffee manhunt that was led by David Rose. And so when I was being interviewed by a guy called Pitamba Prasad, I said, Pitamba, you would be surprised if I tell you that I never set out to be a writer. He said, what? I said, no, I never set out to be a writer. It was one thing I always wanted to be, a film director. I grew in New Road, and we had a Regal cinema. So our culture was tied up to the cinema. You cut through the backyard with your 25 cents, you're going under the building, stink a pee, you get your 25 cents, you go in pit. I wanted to be a film director. And I asked myself the question, how could I become a film director? I read that if you have a good novel, that novel could be turned into film. So I said, maybe I should write a novel. What kind of novel should you write, Harold? To make a film, maybe a manhunt novel. That's good property. What can you write about? What manhunt? And I remembered the coffee Clement story since I was 8. And I started going to the archives that was by the market, by the police station when you cross over. And I started researching Clement Coffee, this desperado, this black man who had a .22 Winchester rifle and had a whole bundle of police behind him. And I started researching because I said, I'm going to write a novel based on the coffee manhunt. And I remember Tommy Payne.
The good thing is that you could have read, you could have read, that's a good thing. That's a plus right there.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My father built a house with 2 cupboards. And of course, my brother, Wilbert Bascom, who was the bank manager, the GNCB bank manager, he was an economist. And so we grew with books like the magazines like The Economist, of course, which I really couldn't understand. But reading was easy. I grew into a family that believed in education, like most Guyanese families. But back to researching coffee. I remember Tommy Payne, good friend of mine, archivist. He said, man, Harold, Bascom, what are you doing in this place researching coffee, researching a criminal? But he didn't know. And I got a novel out of it. I said to myself, why can't we write novels, maybe make films out of our anti-heroes? We grew up with Jesse James and all of these American guys. Why can't we make stories of our own desperados? And so I ended up with a novel. Heinemann published it. I remember when it was published when I was writing Guyana. People said, buddy, you can't come, you got to go away first. I said, who said so? And I decided to write some letters. I write one to Faber and Faber. I write one to Heinemann Publishing. I wrote to different English publishers. Dear sir, dear madam, would you accept a manuscript written by a Guyanese in Guyana? The people wrote back, why not? Send the manuscript. And that is part of the makeup that I try to make people understand. When people say no, you ask them who says so. And you can discover that nobody said it. It is just that self-doubt that so many of us live with. And so within 3 years, I was a published novelist. I was part of the Caribbean, Heinemann Caribbean Writer Series. But then it didn't turn into film. But you can talk to me. I'm talking too much.
No, you're doing just fine. I mean, you leading me into my segues because I wanted to see, if you could express to me what experience in Guyana actually molded your world view. I mean, that's a good way to segue into something molded you into becoming this worldwide guy, having a world view from Guyana, right? We could always say we pull something from Guyana.
Let me see if I could deal with that, if I could answer that. As boys, we used to read comic book. I somehow used to like reading books about aircraft. I wanted to become an RAF pilot. I wanted to become an astronaut. There were times I used to be at the JFK library and I could study about different planes. I could identify different planes by the silhouettes. So maybe that outward vision, that daring, I know I could be this. Like I wanted to become a cartoonist and I became a cartoonist. But how I became is even more interesting. Let me go back to the novel. The novel did not turn into film. And I said, okay, if Apata, that was the name of my novel, Apata, the story of a reluctant criminal. If the novel didn't turn into film, what else can I do? Determination. I said, maybe if I write a play, I could learn to direct plays, and maybe the next step after plays is the film. And I became a playwright.
I see.
And my first play I wrote was called The Butter Line. There was a time when there was a line for everything. A line for milk, a line for this, and I wrote a butter line and put it on at Lighthouse Hall, Linden. It was a strange thing. The time I was writing, there was nothing other than Tides of Susanburg. There was no place where people like me and you were characters.
Okay.
Back then, the people like me and you had to be gardener and that kind of stuff. The real characters were always light-skinned people, and we were the gardener or the chauffeur or the maid or the kind of stuff. And I wrote a play where people can see people like themselves as the stars. And I wrote this play called The Butter Line. And I staged it at the Lighthouse Hall, and this place sold out. Ordinary people came in droves to see it. And I remember I was going by an old girlfriend in Kansas City. And passing a house, I hear, and I look, congratulations, The Butter Line.
Wow.
Ordinary people, people who were seen as them and got no sense. They wouldn't understand theater. But there was a woman from Bottom House waving, congratulations. You know why? She saw herself on stage. And when someone can see themselves on stage, it tells them that they're important, they are worthy. And I created a revolution when I wrote a play called The Barrel, and I staged it at the Cultural Center. And when that play was staged, let me say this, I'm a stickler for time. If I say a play is going to start at 8 o'clock, it starts at 8. If they got one person in the audience, it starts at 8. So at 8 o'clock, curtains went up and people came at 7:30. And the word spread, this man Bascom is serious. Then Bascom said, the center sold out every day. And the director of the center, I heard she said, who is this man Bascom who got all these market people coming to the National Cultural Center? I created a revolution. I
Yeah.
did it after that, TV Alley, and the rest. Tesserail Girl in the Old Fool, Buckle House, and
McIntyre and the Visa Wedding. Tell us about that.
There was a time when the visa weddings were. I wrote popular plays that were topical, and Visa Wedding was written when it was the rave to get somebody to come back and marry you. McIntyre, there was a Guyanese Prize play that I won, and McIntyre was based on the life of my. Okay, you know the folk song McIntyre.
McIntyre, no.
McIntyre money done in the country. McIntyre money.
All right. Money done. Oh.
All right. I took that song. It's a story about this bushman who feeding money to a horse. I said, but those are mythical things. Why would this man feed money to a horse? Maybe it's a rumor. And I took my father's story. My father was laid off from an estate, for sale estate, and things were hard. Christmas coming and he had nothing much to give his wife and children. And my father said, going in the bush. And he went into the bush. And he would come out and he would tell us stories, some amusing stories of himself and Captain Bob and Smallboy. And I took my mother and father's struggles and I created a play called McIntyre. They call it a Guyanese classic. It was sent to Carrie Fester. And guys like Crichton says, Bascom, you've made your mark. You've made your mark. McIntyre is now a Guyanese classic. So then there was Cockle House. This is another play that was a massive sellout, but it was a serious piece of business. I wrote Cockle House, a story where this woman had she man and he used to come by the house and interfere with her young daughter. And coming to the end of the play, this man's daughter comes to negotiate with this girl's mother, offering her X amount of millions to drop this story. I wrote that play because I felt all my plays, I call them mirror plays. You come to see it, you can see yourself. If you see something good about yourself, hooray. If you see something bad about yourself, change it.
Redirection.
And at that time, there was a lot of that stuff going on. Men with money interfering with young girls that is paying off the family, and because of the economics, people taking the money. And that play, I decided to give it a certain end. The man's daughter keep offering the woman and raising the money and raising the money. And then she says, isn't that enough? And I said, boom, bring the lights down. Let the audience go home. Let them go home and think what they would do if they would chase it or take the money. So
that's what plays out to be. 50 plays out to be provocative, you know, provocative your thinking, you know, your instinct. But let's take a break and say good night to some folks coming on in. Some of the folks there from GCAT, you remember Georgia Caribbean Arts Troupe. Maureen is on. Good night to you, Miss Maureen. John. Margaret Lopez, good night to you, Margaret. You and the husband, Miss, not Lopez now, change that name, Miss Wise, Margaret Wise. And to you, Gigi George, she got a show, you know. Gigi George has her own show. Gigi George, you got to follow it, Mr. Bascom, on Facebook, on YouTube. And Wendy Cole, good night to you. Good night to you, Abiola Harlequin. Good night to you, Mr. Hiram Kenneth Rampasad. And to you, Mr. Marlon Perryman, the folks from Georgetown. Marlon is a big-time DJ inside Brooklyn, New York. So, Mr. Bascom, you got a lot of folks coming on in to hear your story. Denise Smith is on here. Jason Benjamin and Sharon K. Benson. Good night to you all. And Sharon, Montpellier Green, my folks from Rosignol Government Secondary School. Leonard Barker, we trained together. And lots of folks are coming on in because they know Mr. Harold Bascom. They know you well, you know. But what makes your storytelling resonate so deeply with the people? What is so different about your storytelling?
Okay, I think that has a lot to do with my philosophy of the role of an artist. I always say, The artist is supposed to be the antenna of society. If you want to know what's going on in the society, look to see what the artist writing, painting, what he's putting on, because the artist is affected if he is indeed close to the people. You know, let me talk about what is close to the people. I remember walking around by City Hall and I saw an old neighbor from New Road. His name was Buddy, and he says, Bascom, you remember me? You remember me, man? Buddy, man, ice Buddy. I said, my buddy, why I ain't gonna remember you? Let me tell you something. We live in a society that believes when we have achieved anything, we must choke up our throats and play we don't know people that we knew. I got a friend in Paris, Wallace in Paris. He said he and this man grew up together. They grew up thieving, foul, and as boys, they're thieving, falling, doing all that as children. So he saw this guy. Paris now an adult, and he was working in London, and he saw this old friend who's now an engineer, and he runs up to the man. For a name, let me see name Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, man, Harley, what's going on? And Harley Quinn looks at Paris and says, Paris said, man, it's me, man, it's Wallison. And the man says, Wallison, that name rings a bell. And Paris, he wanted to cuss the man. This man tell me that me name ring a bell. Those are not people of the people. Those are, I don't know what they are, who play in the game of the expatriate. They are. I was invited to judge some matrimony thing, and I arrived with a minibus. The Indian guy at the gate said, you are a Bascom? Oh, you move, sir. It's a strange thing. In Guyana, people expect you to play the game. I don't know why. They expect you to laud it on them. Maybe they feel good. I remember coming down from Kingston, passing by Bobby Scare Park, and I see a student that I know. She just watching me. She eyeballing me. And I turn and say, what young? I say, what mean Harold? She said, well, use Harold Bascom. Now you know what the hell that meant. He's prepared.
That's a pedestal.
Did I issues?
Yeah.
But you talk to me, man. Ask me anything.
Yeah, man, I got a whole lot for you. Tell me what responsibility you carry as a playwright representing Guyana life. You have some responsibility. You feel responsible to carry as a playwright representing Guyana here in the diaspora. You feel this responsibility?
That's a nice question. If I feel that responsibility. My first responsibility is to my creative drive. I always doing something. I always writing. I'm always coming up with ideas. I have to leave a legacy. When I am gone, my daughter says, I got to push daddy's work. But in terms of responsibility, I have not saddled myself with anything like a responsibility. I do what I have to do. And if my people find value in it, power to me, power to them. No sense of responsibility. I'm not going to string myself out on that kind of level.
I can mute myself and forgot me, man. Thank you so much, Harold. Let's transition and talk about the movement behind the movement, right?
Okay.
Odyssey, and this about a
okay.
play that you've written entitled "The Afro-Guyanese
Odyssey." This is important.
You'll be seeking funding for it in a matter of days, right? Or you're seeking you're having funding already. Talk to us about that.
No, I have no funding. I will be starting a GoFundMe on Saturday to see if I find the funding. But let me give you the full background. And I think this is important because many people got some twisted things of what really played out. Let me begin from the beginning. In 2024, I was approached by the owner of Gems Theatre Productions. I was commissioned to write a play called From Whence We Came, the Chinese Experience. And I got some good research from a guy called Scott Tingaki on the Chinese, and I put it together and I came up with a beautiful piece of full-length drama. After I wrote that play, the producer went to town, or I should say she tried to find funding, and funding came. The Chinese Association pitched in, Chinese entrepreneurs pitched in, the Chinese embassy pitched in a big way, and the play was written in 2024, and in January 2025, boom, the Chinese experience exploded on the Cultural Center stage. Nice. She said, Harold, we have to get From Whence We Came, the Indian Experience. Well, I could have written it for her, but I understood someone who was Indian decided that they want to write it. No sweat. They wrote the play, The Indian Experience, and the Indian community funded it. Boom, okay. It came off. I wrote From Whence We Came, the African Experience. And let me tell you, that woman went through hell and bloody hell to find money for it. Nobody apparently wanted to put any money behind the Afro-Guyanese play. I don't know where she went, but I just know in 2025, it never came off. No funding. She tried. In 2026, like a month ago, she hit me up, WhatsApp. She said, Harold, we got funding. We got funding. Send me the script. 1 week after, she said, Harold, it fell through. Maybe, if God spare life, maybe next year, 2027, it might get money. And that's when I said, you know what? Enough of this. It sounds like carry the fool further on. I said, no. I said, I am going to do this play. She said, you're going to do it on your own. I said, yes. And I rewrote the play, give it a more popular edge. Rewrote the play. I took it away from Whence We Came, because that could have been, maybe that's her thing, her trademark, From Whence We Came series. And I changed the name to the Afro-Guyanese Odyssey. And I said, I am going up there. Despite what people say that, Banner, you can't raise money from black people don't got no money, they're going to hang you up. And I said, okay, at least I would have tried. And I persisted. And on Saturday, I will be launching that GoFundMe page, hoping to raise $64,000 which is equivalent to like 14 million Guyana dollars. That's the kind of prices to put on a play, the Culture Center.
Man.
And the response is amazing. There are many people who are saying, yes, Harold, we can. Yes, we can. Of course, you have the detractors. Oh, it's a lot of money, 64,000 US. I mean, I understand. We are a people, we ain't used to money. We ain't used to big money. But no, really, it's not big money. We are the people who built villages from pooling the resources.
Yeah,
we are the people who built Victoria, Buxton. Yeah. We bought Victoria, Buxton, Plaisance, Ithaca. We can do it. And so that's what's going on. I am just saying that Afro-Guyanese step forward. Though I'm not saying any other nationalities shouldn't step forward. We need all the help. And if we believe in the concept of one people, feel free. Just join us. We could make this thing happen.
But Harold, tell us why this story is so necessary now. Why this play is so necessary now?
It is very, very necessary. Because for all that Black people have accomplished, sadly, a lot of people have forgotten who they are, where they came from. It's like amnesia. We have become a marginalized ethnicity. You would hear people saying that Black man that got sense. As a matter of fact, when I said on Facebook that we can do this. One Indian guy said, black man, I got brain to do something like that. And I was prepared to engage him. And somebody said, Harold, left the man alone. Delete. Shop shut. You hear things that, this is interesting. I remember putting a post on Facebook. I ain't wearing no suit. But some Indian guy said, oh, who are this man? Me keep seeing he plenty. How he thief somebody chain or something? That is called perception. This is why the play is written. In the play, I'm going to tell a little scene in the play. The main character in the play is a young man named Kwesi. They call it Kwe. Kwe, when he was a child, found himself on a stage with Radical, a little boy named Chin, and there was Kwe. And the teacher says, Radical, can you stand up and tell us what makes you proud of your Indian heritage? And Radical bunks up, yes, sir. And she starts to talk of the Taj Mahal, who built the Taj Mahal, blah, blah, blah. And okay, very good, very good. And then he turned to Chin. He said, Chin, stand up and tell us why you're proud of your Chinese heritage. And Chin bounces up and talks about the Great Wall of China, blah, 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 how long it is. And the teacher said, oh, very, very good, very good. Then he turns to young Kwesi and says, Kwesi, stand up and tell us why you're proud to be of African heritage. And Kwesi is fidgeting in his chair, he mumbling with the head bent. Teacher said, boy, speak up. Kwesi will mumble something. He said, stand up. Kwesi, stand up. Slavery, sir. What? Speak up. Slavery, sir. And he breaks into tears. And this is what the elder young man, remembers. And he goes on the Odyssey. And in the Odyssey, he learns that as an African, he is descended from the great West African emperor of the 14th century called Mansa Musa, who is the richest man that ever lived. That was an African. And the play moves from Mansa Musa down into when Africa lost itself, down through the Middle Passage into Guyana. And in this play, I'm not dealing with black people getting whips and begging God for help and all the nonsense. I'm dealing with resistance and pride and standing up. And so, what I want to say is when this play comes over, any African Guyanese who was in there should come out of the center with head lifted, feeling good. Dare you tell me that I am nothing, that me got sense, that I got history? And then there is something else in the play that is shocking a lot of people. The revelation that in 1841, there were 15,000 indentured Africans who came free. A lot of them from places like the Pepper Coast, or what is now Sierra Leone. I remember growing up where my father would look at us when we hear in cut and he would say, oh God, you look like crewman. You look like a crewman. As a kid, I didn't understand. But as an adult, I know there were people called of the tribe Kru, K-R-U or K-R-O-O. They came from the Pepper Coast, which is now Liberia. They were sailors. They were very skilled African guys. They were very skilled on the sea, and they were never enslaved. They worked on British ships, etc. And Kru people came to Guyana and lived free. They lived in Canal Number 1, and many of us don't even know that not all of us are descended from slaves. They are indentured African people with indentured African lineage, and we never knew that. And the question is, the place asks, why? Why was it kept from us that we too have people who came like the Indians, like the Chinese, like the Portuguese? Why was it held from us? Was it to ensure that we grow with the lowest self-esteem, that we could only look back to chains and slavery? My play,
Yeah.
the Afro-Guyanese Odyssey, will deal and demystify all of that nonsense. We are a proud people. We are a great people. We have accomplished. We have fought. We died building Guyana.
Yeah. And we built it by throwing susu and what we call box, right? You you know about those days?
Yeah,
You,
but when I said build Guyana, this is something I learned. Before the Africans came, Guyana was jungle. Do you know who cleared the forest? Who built the polders? Who dug the canals? Thousands of them died in the process. African slaves.
Yeah.
And that is what the play is going to be talking to the audience. I have a character talking to the audience, reminding them, you see all them nice place y'all live? If it wasn't for people like me, you won't be living there. So
But
the play is very important.
But people would hear $64,000. Break it down to let us understand perhaps the cost, not verbatim, but production, actors, venue, promotion. Break it down so people could really appreciate the cost.
For example, do I have, let's see, I should have some figures here. Okay. The character Kwesi or Kwesi, I have a production manager who's going to work on my behalf in Georgia, and he's going to control everything. So he did the budgeting for me. Kwesi or Kwes, the character, $75,000 a night for 5 performances. That is $375,000.
Wow.
There is a woman, a character called the Ancestral Spirit, who leads Kwes through his odyssey, take him down into the past. That person will need $70,000 and 5 performances, which brings her to $350,000.
Wow.
The main supporting cast, $275,000 for 5 performances, is $1,375,000. The second talent, speaking parts, $1,250,000. Third level cameos and non-speaking parts, $1 million. The director, $300,000. The stage management team, 4 persons, $600,000. The production manager, $500,000. And when he's finished, it comes down to $14,975,000.
Wow.
It is a lot of money.
We can see how critical this funding is.
Yes, it's very critical. And I had to ask Godfrey Norton is going to be my production manager. I said, Gado, could you just try to reason with the cast members that is not a commercial production? And I must say this now, it will not be a commercial production. I just want this play done and it will be free. Once you put in your just come. Bring your family, bring your neighbors, bring people. You must see this play. Of course, somebody said on Facebook, you should at least charge a little something because nothing free, not good. I said, well, you're going to see. I'm going to blow that whole theory that you have out of the water. It's going to be free. It's a non-commercial production.
Wow.
And you get an inkling of how the costs go up. Talk about video, soundtrack productions, lights and sound, publicity, $2,500,000, material and labor, $1 million. Yes. It's expensive.
What do you say to your doubters who said 64,000 is not accessible?
I tell them that it is accessible. Just tell them that. One person said, but Harold, you have a reputation. I said, listen, if I fail, I win. If it comes over, I win. I win anyway because to stand up and do what I believe in is a win. That's what I believe. We need to stand up and dare to do what people think is impossible. It can be done.
Yeah. So would you say this is faith-driven or strategy-driven or both?
I just got tired of Black people in Guyana not being aware. And this is because a lot of us stopped reading, not being aware of how great a history they carry. They don't know. It is like when I would have read about young people in South Africa who never heard of Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
It's the same thing happens in Guyana. There are people who don't know what Forbes Burnham or Chetty Jagan or Hubert Nathaniel Critchell, they don't know. And this is where I feel the writers in Guyana are failing. They are not standing up to do what needs to be done. They have an outward vision. They want to write, instead of digging down and learning to write, they want to go to AI. They want to write about prom. And they want, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Thank you so much. I do like to keep my mic on to distract you when you're deep in your thoughts, so I always keep forgetting it. But thanks for being so attentive. Well, I'm speaking to Mr. Harold Bascom, a playwright, and some of you know him, and some of you might have questions for him. I see my niece is saying she'll be adding your books to her TBR. What is a TBR, Mr. Bascom?
TBR? I can't remember, man, actually.
So, Rochelle, you gotta let me know what is a TBR, man. You know, Uncle don't know all these things. And I see a lot of my schoolmates are in. Good night to my folks in Araima, my folks in Kokwani, Burbage River, Linden Town, my folks. Somebody know about Canvas City, watching from Canvas City. Some folks are watching from Canada. And I know folks in Maryland and folks in the ATL are watching. So if you guys have a question for Mr. Bascom, this is your moment to do that. Oh, she said to be read. Okay. You see,
Okay.
you see, we got it. That's why we send these kids to school.
To be read, all right.
You see this? Yeah, to be read. Okay, it's nice. Thank you so much. Lack of knowledge, Kendra McKee is saying, and she's with me on the Gigi show. You ought to know my friends, Mr. Bascom. Come on over to the Gigi show sometimes when we're on there and engage us with some good conversations. And so we are talking to you because you have a very important agenda. What if you only raise a fraction of that $64,000 US after GoFundMe campaign is over? What happens?
My
Do
plan,
you scale down, delay, or pivot?
no, I mean, it can be scaled down because I've rewritten the play in an already scaled down way. I've actually designed the set to make sure that I don't have to pay somebody to design the set. Because I'm an artist, I'm a set designer, I've already designed the set. So if by chance we don't raise that money, my plan is to donate that money, the majority of it, because I still have to pay people who would have helped me create the program, you know. The rest would go to some worthy charity, openly worthy charity. Because one of the things my wife is worried about, Harold, but you know, people and the money said, no, don't worry. Every cent would be donated minus expenses that I would have incurred. I ain't got no problem with that.
Wow. So what does resilience look like in this kind of matter? The resilience, how strong is it? I mean, you push back some people who are negative, the pessimistic people.
I understand. You know, understanding has a lot to do with how you react to certain people. There was a woman who, on my page, she's saying, well, I tried to raise some money for something and I didn't get it. I don't think you've been able to raise that kind of money. And then she started attacking somebody else. You saying, bravo, how much you gonna give? And I said, you know what? This woman wants to rain on people's parade. So I just deleted all her comments and blocked her. There will always be people like that. There will always be people like that. But I feel proud being a symbol of strength. We need a symbol of strength.
Yeah.
It's like you go there, you dare to see if you can do it. If you can't do it, okay, but at least you tried.
Yeah.
You tried. That's the key.
So once again, when will the GoFundMe page for this Afro Guyanese Udasi be available? And how can
it would be up on Saturday.
Support you?
On Saturday. And I would be asking all my friends and people just to share it within their friend circle. And so there are some people who inbox me and say they want it. So I'm gonna see. We're gonna see.
So,
But
so
I'm
that's
not.
definitely, but that's definitely a way that folks can support you in the diaspora beyond money, right? By sharing it. How else can they support you beyond money?
Sharing it.
Okay.
That's the key.
All right. Share and share again. All right.
Yeah. Just get it in front of people. And it's one of the things I told somebody, well, Harold, maybe you should go to this company. I said, no, I am not going to no company with a begging bowl. I am not doing that. I put it in front of you. You want to contribute? All good. But I'm not going asking you for some help. No. Asking you, no. You see, if you want to contribute, you contribute. This is your chance to do something for your demographic. There's nothing wrong. It is not racist. It's not racial. Everybody else takes care of their own. Why can't we?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Harold, you've been doing theater in Guyana and the United States here. Where do you feel more respected? Where do you feel more honored, and by whom?
The Guyana.
The Caribbean theater on the value in
Yes. One of my problems as an artist, and what you're doing, I must compliment you, because they are people who are determined that nobody should know of this man Bascom because he black. He come from the country. He ain't light skin. Forget about him. And what you're doing, I thank you. But it's tricky. I wrote a play called Desperate for Relevance. It won the Guyana Prize in 2020, in 2015. It won the Caribbean Award in 2015, and I beat out Caribbean playwrights. I thought that guys from the University of the West Indies, literary guys, would show interest in this play, because it was not only a Guyanese play. It's a play that incorporates a lot of Caribbean writers: Samuel Selvon, George Lamming, Sheikh Sadiq. And do you know, that play was totally ignored by the academic community in the Caribbean.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, one guy I met years ago, a professor from UWI, he said, "Oh, Bascom, you're just a storyteller." The man dismissed me because I was not an intellectual. I ain't got no degrees. To hell with that. It doesn't matter to me. I live through creativity. I write, I paint.
And that's encouraging. That's encouraging to others who might have that imposter syndrome to quit. They didn't even get started and they quit. So thank you so much for letting us see your true self. But take us back to that time when you mentored the folks there at Georgia Caribbean Arts Troupe. Your play, The Green Card Marriage, what message does it really carry?
Well, we normally hear people say, America is not a bed of roses, In other words, money don't grow on trees in America. But still in Guyana, there are people who believe that life over here is so rosy. That play, I hope, sent a message of the reality. Like there was a naughty boy, and a naughty boy was he. He ran away to Scotland, the people there to see, and he found that the ground was as hard, that the yard was as long, and he stood in his shoes and he wondered. Green Card Wedding is all about telling the truth. And it reminds me of Tom Fillings, the guy who was my art director. When I came to America, I met him. He said, "Harold, what you guys need to do is to tell stories of what happens over here." And I have a book coming out called Love on New Road and Other Stories, in which I have a lot of stories about life over here. People need to understand life in the diaspora, and they'd appreciate. They would stop thieving people money and killing people when they go back home, because a struggle is a struggle. Same thing in Guyana, same thing over here. A man struggled for years to go make some money to build a house, and boom, somebody can kill you. So Green Card Wedding, I wanted to let people understand the reality of life. The reality, like, for example, people come over here, they got a sophisticated job in Georgetown, they come over here, buddy, I get a job for you, got to sweep the gym. Say, well, me? I ain't sweeping no gym. It's because, guess who I see sweeping gym? Cleveland,
You superintendent.
Cleveland. So, so green
Listen, man,
card, marriage.
I carve warehouse, everything, man. I sweep floors,
There
everything.
you go.
Like,
You know. So it's called the equalizer. So in my play, I try to let people understand this is the realism of life over here.
yeah.
If you overcome this whole nonsense of doing this and do that, I've heard some nice stories where doctors ended up doing CNA work, but still resolved to study overnight and become a doctor. So there's lots of possibilities, and my collection of short stories like Green Card Wedding will hopefully reveal a lot about life over here. There's even an amusing story I've called Combaki in my collection coming up. Combaki is a story of this guy who goes home and he wants this girl in this scheme. And she discovered that, three strikes. The man has drink, the man has abuse people and all kind of stuff. And he said, you have no ambition. You'd never make it over here. You'd never get over here. And she gets over here and she was telling a friend about this man. He said, living in Long Island. Oh, all right. Tomorrow we're going to go by this church. And this friend in America drives her to the church and they got a long line. What is going on there? Oh, it's called a food bank. Food got back. Anyway, in the line, she sees a figure. And she said, oh my God, it's the same man. The man didn't nice up the reality. So these kinds of stories, I'm hoping that people would say, yes, we need more of this. We need more of the light, of the truth in America. Oh, that's about my short stories.
But
so
how
I'm from playwright to short stories. But I'm working on another.
But how did it feel for you to mentor the actors there from GCAT? And how impactful is your mentorship?
It was good. There's a ton of respect. They learned a lot. Because as a director, most of the plays I did in Guyana, the actors that I used were not actors from the theater guild or so-called established actors. I used to go by the market, talk to people, and they would come and act. I can train you to act. I have that talent. I could give you a one-day workshop and explain how to deliver lines, how to move. And that's what I did. I used teachers, regular people, and they blossomed. Yeah.
Awesome. What makes you, there must be mistakes that you made, right? But what mistakes do young creatives make today that you think you might have made or you overcame while you were coming up as a young creative?
Let me see. As I've always been a very avid reader. So once you read, you might not come up with so many mistakes. For example, as an artist, you put out an exhibition and you expect to get a lot of sales. And when you don't get a lot of sales, you feel deflated. But if you would have known before that collectors are far and few in between, you would understand. And you would put on your play just for the sake of people seeing your production. Talking about your exhibition, I was the very first artist in Guyana who ever put on an exhibition of nudes, naked skinned people. I had an exhibition at the Park Hotel.
What?
And it was called the Naked Pain Garden City. Huh?
Not you, naked.
And it had the best review by Ali Hussein. He said, man, these women are not nude, they are naked. The name of the exhibition was The Naked Pain Garden City. I use nudes to express the economic hardships faced primarily by women. I remember there was a teacher from the Borzar School. This woman sat in front of a painting for hours. And that made me feel good. She was communicating with this something. When you think it is pornography, no. You're seeing the pain of women through the bodies. Though, there's some humorous things about it. I remember one guy saw me by the market. He said, Bascom, you're drawing naked skin woman. I could come. I said, no, you can't come.
You could be the wrong idea.
You can't come. I said, when a woman decides to disrobe for an artist, that's a trust, a bond between that artist and that woman. Who you mean you want to come, you want to see? So, yeah, talk to me, man.
I'm telling
Hey.
you're talking good. You're dropping some nuggets, and really, I'm glad I'm able to take you back, way back. But let's address something that is very serious.
Yeah.
Something that is very serious. People using your work without permission. How does
Man.
that affect you?
I seen somebody on YouTube using one of my, was Baku. I did a series of mythological drawings. I got Baku, Oleg, Moongazer, Jumbi, and Guyanese would just pick up my stuff and use it. I gotta hit them up and say, no, you don't do that. They don't know. Because sadly, there was a time in Guyana when there was a lot of shortage of school books, and the government encouraged people to take photocopies. It became a big business. You're photocopying books and you're selling it in Pierce Mine. That's wrong. Those are copyrighted works. But they got some people say, man, Guyana's small, then people ain't gonna worry with me. But ethics, it's bad. But they don't know. You know,
They don't know.
it's like, for example, somebody, I'm getting a lot of friend requests. Ding! Friend requests. Accept some friend requests. Next thing you know, my phone is ringing. Video. Somebody calling me. I said, man, they don't know. In America here, it's like if you want somebody's number, you know you're gonna ask them, is it okay to give?
Right.
Yes. In Guyana, no. They're calling you as though you know them. So why are you calling my phone? Do I know you? They don't understand. There's a certain degree of ignorance that, you know, you have to understand. You have to teach them, you know. Some say, hey, I said, do you know me? Why are you addressing me and say, oh, Facebook got it, so I just use it. There's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of ignorance, and we need to read. We need to get back into reading. And ignorance
tell us though,
is,
yeah.
You know,
Tell us though, what should people do if they want to use your plays?
It happened once for me where somebody took my play, The Barrel, and took it to Barbies without telling me. And that was bad. It doesn't happen a lot.
Okay.
It doesn't happen a lot. And I guess it doesn't. Yes, there was another time where another young man from Linden took the play. It's a sad situation where you can plagiarize people's work, and it's desperation. It always ends in shame for them. But it hardly happens because it takes so much to produce a play. You can steal somebody's play. How the hell you can produce it? You understand the whole process? So there's things that it don't bother me. But it holds back a lot of Guyanese. Let me explain this. Somebody writes a story and they do not understand that fiction is a collaborative art. You have to have an editor.
Okay.
You come up with a story, you need a developmental editor who will tell you whether or not the story makes sense, who will guide you into what maybe which direction the story should go. They're not going to write it. You got to write it. You're the writer. After that, they have the copy editor who will tell you if your sentences make sense, if the sentences are saying what they're supposed to say, if you're using wrong words. Then you have the proofreader who will catch your mistakes. And then you have to get somebody who's going to typeset your book. Then you have to get somebody who's going to do the cover design. But many Guyanese, they do not get off the first block. Why? Because they are afraid to show their work to somebody else because somebody gonna thief my work. It's an immaturity that is holding back a lot of people.
What advice do you give to creatives to protect their work though?
There's an international convention, copyright convention, that once you write your book, you make sure you put that little C inside a circle.
Okay.
And there's people believe that you must mail your work to yourself. But over here in America, it's easy because you could actually pay and get your work copyrighted, which is a solid. But I don't know about Guyana. I don't know if how solid Guyana is in terms of copyright conventions. But over here, you copyright your work if you feel that you need to go beyond putting C in a circle, Cleveland Harley Quinn 2026. I don't know about Guyana. What happens in Guyana? Wild West, maybe.
But I had this honor of reading your poetry on radio. What did that mean to you, Mr. Bascom or Harold?
Well, I mean, all artists, all writers, all creatives, we have our little ego. We feel good. It means a lot.
Well, okay. And you introduced me to another poet, and I sought her permission because of you.
Yes, I mean, her book is out.
Wow, yeah.
And, the other day she was being interviewed, and I felt a little embarrassed because she was so Mr. Harold and Mr. Harold and Mr. Harold without Mr. Harold. I wish she had given herself more credits. And recently she asked me, Mr. Harold, do you have a Western Union by you? I said, yes. I said, but we have MoneyGram. I said, why? She said, man, my heart telling me I should do something. I said, listen, don't. I said, don't do that. I don't do things for money. I help people. I just help people. Like I have a friend named I have a friend who wrote a book. Fitzroy Tyrrell. Good old friend.
Yeah.
Fitzroy wrote this book and I bought a copy. I always buy Guyanese people's book. Check Fitzroy book. From the cover, there's no title page. There's no biography. I said, man, who do this thing for you, man? I said, this is horrible. And I took his book. I took it and I typeset the whole thing over. And you got a proper book. I do things like that. It's not about money, but it's about helping me people. We got to come together. I just like doing that.
Yeah, I like it. And I think you possess that gene. I always talk to my interviewees. When I recognize it, you have that gene of helping people to live their full potential. That's HPLP gene. Thank you so much for empowering people and helping them find their way. And so talking to Mr. Harold A. Bascom, a playwright, a mentor, a friend, and definitely a Guyanese.
No question.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got lots of questions for you.
I mean from your group, from your people.
Oh, from a group. Okay, let's see. Kendra says she remember that. Kendra talk about copywriting. Hello, Miss Bonita Montague. She's also a writer. She's a founder of an organization too. She's Guyanese too. And Rochelle is saying your book Apata will be part of my summer reading. She just order it. Wow, you see that? And so folks are finding you and finding your books. Hello, Steve James. He's a math teacher there in Hope Tongue area. Definitely helping students to pass exams there in Hope Tongue, West Coast of East area. Hello, Glenna Jillian Bailey Vivehouse. That's my neighbor from number 5, West Coast of East. I want to say good night to all of you. Appreciate the broadcast and please ask your questions. This man is a very important man to me. He's a big deal. I don't know if y'all know that. And so please maximize the moment and ask questions. I'm going to ask questions if you don't. But Harold, let's do some quick answers, right? Theater or film? Which one you prefer? In the meantime, folks coming up with the questions.
Film.
Theater or film? Which one you prefer? Film. You want to expound?
Well, as I said, I always wanted to become a film director. And I guess that's where the bias is.
Guyana or diaspora stage? Which one you prefer?
Guyana or diaspora?
Stage. Meaning the stage. Here or Guyana? Guyana. Okay. You want to tell me more? Or I could take that one word if you want,
I'm a Guyanese playwright. Will always be a Guyanese playwright. That's my first mission, to reflect our people, to reflect our values, to help us, inculcate better values. Guyana.
Guyana. The hardest play you wrote, which one would it be? The hardest play you wrote.
Hardest play I wrote. Desperate for relevance.
Desperate for relevance. Awesome, awesome. Why was that so hard?
And it was hard because I always try to top myself when I write plays. And this one, it was the existence of dead Caribbean writers in a made-up hereafter. It's like a purgatory.
Mm.
And all of these dead Caribbean writers, Sheikh Sadiq, Louis Bennett, a lot of these guys, they are looking down to see how people are reading their books. So to put my mind on a spiritual level, that was challenging. But I love the kind of challenge. Yeah.
Awesome. One message to young playwrights, what would it be?
Get connected to people. Come out of ivory towers. Get connected to people. Listen to people and understand life. Because playwriting is all. If you're a Guyanese playwright, you got to write about life. Let me say something about this. You wouldn't believe where my inspiration to be a playwright came from. It came from a Russian playwright called Maxim Gorky. I read Gorky, and Gorky was writing about the peasantry, about the drunks and the regular people. And I said, wait. If Gorky can write about his ordinary people, why can't I? And that was my inspiration.
Wow.
So my message is get stuck into the life, understand the people, and come out of the ivory towers. Don't be no organization and choking your neck and talking intellectually. Just understand people.
Yeah.
Stop the people. Yeah.
I know you're a smart man. You can finish this sentence for me, Harold. You can finish the sentence. The stage is
a place where life is reenacted.
That is awesome. I'm going to ask you for more.
Well, as I said, go right back to my definition of what my plays were. I call my plays mirror plays. And I put that life on stage. Many of us don't even realize how beautiful our existence is until somebody shows it back to us. Many of us never realize how ugly we may be unless somebody pulls us up by showing it back to us. So I hold on to that. There's stages where reacting with life is.
I call you Harold, and I feel so disrespectful calling you Harold.
Call me Harold.
Bascom. But what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy is being built right now. It will be, if it should be said in one sentence, he did a lot of work. He touched a lot of bases. He was a true creative.
Yeah. Awesome. I can let that sink in. You are, and I'm proud of you as a Guyanese. How should Harold Bascom be remembered, though, besides being a creative person? How? I mean, you want us to name a street? You want us to put your name on a street, on a building?
That's not gonna happen.
I could advocate for that. I got influence. I could get over there to Reed and Hoop, and we can put a signboard over a street there that you grew up.
Yeah, put my name on the library if there's one.
The library. Yeah. Well, you say it, man, and folks are listening. You never know who's listening, right? And I think you deserve that. I want to ask you, I have more questions for you, but your final words to Guyanese and the diaspora.
Final words to Guyanese in the diaspora?
Yeah.
Strive to continue being Guyanese at heart, because that's where your truth lies. That's it.
Yeah. You see, I have a list of people here. Thank you so much for that. I have a list of people here. As I drop a name, you tell me about them, right? Because I kind of pirate your page. And since folks are not asking questions, I see a question here. Rochelle Jackson Cameron is asking, what advice would you give to emerging writers who feel pressure to hide parts of their identity in order to succeed. What advice would you give to emerging writers who feel pressure to hide parts of their identity in order to succeed? That is the imposter syndrome kind of thing. So you
To
could
hide
tackle that.
part of their identity in order to
Yes.
succeed.
Right.
I need some more. I need some more to really get to understand what.
Well,
You
some people always believe that to every commendation is a condemnation. So some folks would hide some things about themselves so that they can succeed. And when I succeed, now you can know everything else you want to talk about. Now I have the money. You can bring every dirty linen out now because I'm good. So some people hide some of those things because they want to excel. And then when they get to the big stage and they get a fancy car and a house, they don't care what you talk about them no more.
Yeah,
think
but I
that's
mean, if we think like that, we are denying ourselves our truthfulness. We be dealing with hypocrisy here, and it's not
authenticity.
it's not going to work. No.
Mm.
If you know you have things that you need to hide, don't write no autobiography.
Okay,
But
now.
if you can write fiction,
Okay.
you can write fiction and you can make other characters say or do all the things that you know that expresses you. So
Right.
I don't
That
think
makes sense.
any true writer. It's like I remember going on an interview for one of my plays, and when I came home, my wife said, "But Harold, why you said that?" I said, "Listen, writers, we don't care. We tell the truth. We tell the truth. We're not living for anybody. We live for the truth." So as a budding writer, you have to develop, is it thick skin or integrity? You just tell the truth. If you're ready to tell the truth, tell the truth. If you're not ready to tell the truth, you're not ready yet.
Yeah. I agree with that. And the other question is, how did your experience as a playwright and a theater director shape your fiction writing?
Beautiful question. There in fiction writing, you write, for example, Mildred entered the room. But with playwriting, when I'm directing the scene, I have a part where the actors learn their lines, and then they got to learn, after the lines, they got to learn the blocking or the movement. Mildred got to come in that door. I would tell her, hang up your hat, sit down, take off your shoes, and while you take off your shoes, you're going to say, God, did it hot out there today? The little things that you do between the scenes, I use a lot of that in my fiction to give it realism. Cleveland came in the room, or in a short story I wrote, he went to the window to spit. It's a natural thing. Many of us as writers, we forget that to make a scene live, we have to add certain little relevant details. And I learned to add a lot of that from my plays in terms of blocking, the little things that we do. I'm going to give you a better example. I created an exercise where I told actors, listen, anybody control lines. Anybody control lines to lines to lines, but it is what you do between the lines that tells whether you're an actor, And I would give them an exercise. I would say, okay then, Mike, you got a line. Your line is, Carol, your mother is dead. Carol line is, oh my God. Mike, when you says, Carol, your mother is dead, I'm going to start beating with this ruler on this desk. And once I am beating, y'all got to act. Carol can't say nothing. You can't say, let me see what is happening with your faces, with your body.
Wow.
And it used to be a wonderful exercise. He might be sighing, she might be shaking, she might be holding, and I beating and beating. And when I stop, then they could react. Wow. You learn a lot from that. You learn a lot in that, in your writing. It's not just lines upon lines. describe, say things, do little things, little subtle things, and it makes the writing better. And I pick up all of that from transposing it from theater.
Awesome, awesome. Harold, tell us, script or stage direction. Which one you prefer, script or stage direction?
Script or stage direction? It's a tricky question for me because I'm a playwright and I'm a director. But it was one night I was directing a scene, and the scene wasn't working according to the script. And I said, cut. This scene is not working. This playwright ain't know what he's doing. And what did the actor said? But Harold, is the playwright. I said, I have that ability to separate my playwriting self from my directing self. I would look at my own play and as a director, see that, you know what, slash, cut all them lines. It didn't make no sense. Yes, that's my talent. So the question, script directions are very important. It helps directors who are not so good to get a better understanding of how they should direct a scene.
Awesome.
Script.
Explain blocking for me. I heard you mention that name or that word already.
Blocking, okay. When I have to do a play, I break it up into blocking and characterization. First, the actors got to learn the lines.
Okay.
And once they learn the lines, we can do blocking first. Blocking is where you stand or where you sit when you say what you will do before you say what, the movements around a set. And I direct my scenes. I use sketches. I have this sofa. You say what, and you walk around the stage. I mean, you reach this point, you said, what did you say to me? And the movement around the set, when you sit, when you stand, when you hit the wall, it's called blocking. The geography of movements interspersed with lines. That is the process of blocking. And then the last phase in the direction is called characterization. When you're adding emotion to the lines, is when it's really becoming the top of the play, when you're really emoting, you know. So, yeah.
To all my actors out there, my creatives out there, you guys are getting some nuggets of Mr. Harold A. Bascom. I'm yours truly, DJ Quinn. Well, say good night to Onika Grant and all those of you who are coming on in and not leaving a comment. Emerson Harley Quinn, how are you doing? I hope you guys would ask a question of Mr. Bascom. He's a playwright, a mentor, and definitely spending some moments here with me. I'm hoping I can, I don't get past his bedtime. But, you know, let me see if I can get some questions since folks are not having more for me. So another question here for you. How does your cultural background influence the stories you choose to tell? How does your cultural background influence the stories you choose to tell?
That's a good question. I'm a Guyanese writer, and I write a lot of Guyanese stories. But I'm working on a novel right now that, interestingly, is influenced by a Guyanese zombie story. In Guyana, we got this story of this woman coming home one night and she hear a baby crying. And she decided to pick up this baby and carry this baby home, not knowing the baby is a zombie.
Yeah.
And as she going home, this baby getting heavier and heavier. And by the time she reached the gate, is a big zombie said, "Take me back where you bring me from."
Okay.
So I said, you know what? And I am working on a novel right now based on that whole kind of thing. But in this novel set in Georgia, where I live, there is a demon that is sent out, a familiar, a lesser demon, to change itself into pets. And you know, Americans love their pets. Oh, it's a cute kitty. Pick up the cat, get home, and it turns into something that kills the person. And so the police is mystified. What is it that drains this woman's blood? She brought home a kitten. There's no evidence. So that whole novel, I'm working on it right now. It's called Something Sucks in Aldenville, Georgia. But that was inspired by a Guyanese zombie story. So I think you have the answer to that question right there.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you, Rochelle. And let those questions keep coming on in. I don't plan to keep Mr. Bascom here too late. Writing in silence.
No problem. Give me the questions, man.
All right, good. Let's go down the list. Writing in silence or with music? Which one you prefer?
Music. I have my well, I can't say Alexa because she's gonna react. I have my Amazon device and I tell her, okay, I want play Bill Withers. Play Bill Withers, play this, play that, play the Crusaders. I'm a jazz man, play Miles Davis, and I work with music.
Wow. Do you play my friend Steve Alamo music? Do you know Steve Alamo?
I don't know the name.
Okay. All right. That's way back 65, 64. Yeah, Steve Alamo.
I'm talking about music. I played the trumpet and flute,
Oh, nice.
Some people don't remember the same man that's played the flute. Yeah, the same man, the Bascom.
Yes. You see, we are hearing so much more from you tonight. I'm glad that I got you on the forefront today. Night writer or early morning creator? Which one are you? A night writer or
early morning? Early morning. I have a schedule. I write from 7 to 12. Take a break.
Okay.
2 to 6. I write like that every day. I'm coming upstairs. I'm coming to work. I write consistently.
Wow.
That's how I write.
That's awesome. And one word to describe your writing style.
One word to describe my writing style.
Your writing style. What's your style of writing? Is it, let you figure that out.
Just give me some prompts and let me
passive, active, passive, active, friction, or I could even say cursive. Do you write in big bold letters? Do you use
I write on a laptop.
Okay.
But the question I think that would be more apt is, let me help you with this. Do you plot your stories or do you write them as they go along? Okay, it's like this. Some authors, when they settle to write a story, they say, okay, then this story will start with Mary and John left in the house. Right. They're going to go to get this tire change. They're going to end up at Kroger. Then they're going to come back home. Some writers plot. You actually write it out, bit by bit, a breakdown of everything that happens. Some writers just allow the characters to leave. And as they leave, they get an idea. Maybe you should go around and see if they got just loose, just write and just make up things as you go along. That's the way I write sometimes. With a little guidance, with a little diagram of where the story should go. But generally, I allow things to happen, allow the characters to do their own thing, and I'm following them, just edging them slightly, but I allow characters to create their own stories. That's how I write.
Wow. How do you handle writer's block or moments of self-doubt?
Beautiful question. And I'm going to tell you why it's a beautiful question. I normally ask my writer friends, but where's writer's block? I don't know what writer's block. I don't get writer's block. I would sit down here and I can write. And I would tell people, say, listen, sit down in front of that computer and write THE. Write something and sit down there. Something will come. I don't get writer's block. I don't know what it is. It's a fanciful thing. Oh, I've been having writer's block. I don't know about that. I don't get them.
Awesome. Thank you for answering those questions. Guyana, what does it mean to you in one word, Harold? Guyana.
Guyana, G-U-Y-A-N-A?
Yes.
Indecency.
Oh, man, you're hurting my heart, Harold.
I love my country. But I remember the last time I went home years ago, I went by a friend in Best Village, Best Road. You go way up New Road, you got Best Village. And spent the day And on the way home, we cut through the back way, best area, and the trenches were white. I said, man, what's going on? He said, it's styrofoam. That's pampers.
Wow.
And I realized that you remember your country as it was, but the people that are in it are not making it very nice to reflect on. Our country is not only its landscapes, which I used to like, but the people. And there's a lot of indecency that's going on in Guyana. Weird things.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Right. Don't. Please don't. Village life or city life? Which one do you would choose?
Village life. Because I like coconut trees. I like meditating. I like to listen to birds in the morning. Sometimes I would go down in the garage early morning, hear them birds warbling and doing all that kind of thing. It just relaxes me.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I like yard space. I like yard space.
Yeah.
And you more get that in the village life.
Yeah. Then I'm still Perico, those areas. Yep. But Caribbean audience or international audience, which one you prefer?
Caribbean audience.
Okay.
The international audience is too conflicted with too many nonsense. It reminds me of going in a building and people give you some form to fill and you have pronouns. I said, what is pronouns? What are you talking about? International audiences, they are conflicted with a lot of things that I as a simple Guyanese man, can't subscribe to. Give me Caribbean people, you know. It reminds me of a story I've heard of this girl who brought home to her Jamaican mother a woman. And the mother said, get she out of here. Get she out of here. You ain't bringing in a man, you're bringing a boyfriend, you're bringing in a... So there's a lot of conflicts right now. And unfortunately, there are a lot of Caribbean people who are subscribing to the madness that is out there. Not me. Give me the Caribbean audience. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You have a book nearby you that you can read a paragraph for us before we get on out? Just before. Not right now, but think about it. Think about which passage you want to read for us as a contribution to being here with me on Forefront today. But I'll continue with the question. One Guyanese story the world still needs to hear. One Guyanese story the world still needs to hear. What would it be, Harold? Is it
right now I'm writing. Right now I have a story written called The Vat. When you think the two sides are over in Jonestown, it continues. The story of Jonestown, I think, is one that I've written it. It would be out in my new book.
Looks like we were thinking alike just now. I said, looked like we were thinking alike. I said Jonestown under my breath, but it looks like you really were thinking about Jonestown.
Yeah, I wrote a story on Jonestown. And it's one of those things that we have that we don't use up. We waiting for somebody in America to come and make a movie out of it. We can do it, but I mean, alas, as they say in the old storybooks, we don't think right in terms of the creative ways.
So you call that a vat? The story of Jonestown. Okay.
Yeah.
I got another question. What has been your most rewarding moment as a writer?
The most rewarding moment as a writer. As writers, let me tell you this. If we write a chapter and we feel it and it feels nice, we just feel good. So once you are writing, there would be many moments of joy when you know that you hit a nice piece of thing and it works. It is like taking the Afro-Guyanese Odyssey in its original form and changing it up. Wow. Creating a young character who is a scrapehead in the beginning, and at the end of the play, he is a responsible, focused member of society. That first scene, you know, it's like gold to show some young men, linemen, and an old woman coming wrong on a cell phone, and one man planning to go and thief the phone because she's supposed to got flip phone, and one man in the group said, no, that lady's my neighbor. She's an old headmistress. You can't pass me for do that. I mean,
Wow.
the play really touched me because I feel good about that. So there are many moments. Any honest writer will tell you there are many moments you feel good. But of course, when I got a patter published in 83 by Heinemann Educational Books London, that was a high point to get the book published. You're a published novelist. You know.
Yeah.
So publication is often that time when most writers feel good. Even when you self-publish. And that then box of books appear and you open up the carton, you cut your book. Those are the great moments. Then you see your work with a nice cover. So,
but it must be a play that you feel was underappreciated. Which one would it be? It was underappreciated.
Underappreciated. There was a play called Witch Hunt for Harry Barker.
Okay.
It did not make a lot of money, but the famous Guyanese author Jan Carew was in the audience, and I heard him say that it was a very good production. In terms of underappreciation, that play just did not make money because it was sabotaged by the then government, straight sabotage. And so they placed people at the ticket booths to tell people, tickets sold out, tickets sold out. And so they ruined my production because they thought I was writing a play against the government, when in reality, it was a play to support the government. In other words, I was trying to say, y'all don't run y'all mouth and y'all don't know anything. And I wrote a play to make that, but it backfired. But in terms of underappreciated, when we're talking of a popular audience, any play that it might have been Home for Christmas, a play I wrote about the AIDS pandemic. It might have been Home for Christmas. Because you can't compare a play about some son who came home from AIDS and compare it with Tessa Railguard and the Old Fool or Cockle House. It is a popular audience. So they will always go for the one that is more flashy, catchy, and laughter. Yeah. I say Home for Christmas.
Let me go. That's awesome. Let me go back into your sweet old memory and tell us one line from your work you'll never forget. One line.
My very first play. The bottom line. In the bottom line, let me give you a quick thing in the plot. In the bottom line, there is Stolmy, who had a sexual problem that he was not telling his wife about. And so he would hide it in books, hide in political literature. But he really loved his wife, Shirley. And Shirley was driven by his lack of attention to Walter Grant, who worked at the supermarket. So Walter wants to get in on Shirley, but Shirley loves her husband and would not give Walter any play. So Walter decides that he is going to take her forcibly when she comes the next time for play games, because she always saying Santa coming down the chimney. So one line in the play is Christmas, Jesus Christ. But that's not the real line. I wrote the play in such a way that we know that Shirley is going to the supermarket. She said, she tells her husband, she going to the supermarket to get some butter. That's how the play is the butter. The name of the play became the butter line. So I do not show what happened when she went to Walter. I just showed when she came home. And she came home all disheveled and all she hair and she clothes rough up. And when she enters the door, her husband says, Shirley, what happened with you? And she responds, the butter line tell me. They almost killed me in the butter line. Was a long line tell me, a fat line tell me, a cruel line. And the audience went up into the air. And I want to know, I asked a friend, I said, Jeff, what go on? What got the audience like that? Jeff said, my Harold, you're wicked. I did not know that unwittingly I described a phallic symbol. Unwittingly, I just wanted to massage the line, not realizing that the audience saw a penis.
Wow.
It was a long line, tell me, a fat line, a cruel line, and the audience went up.
Wow.
I'm going to give you another one. Give you another one in the play Butterline. No, not the Butterline. In the play TV Alley. TV Alley was when TV started coming into Guyana. And if you got a Rex McKay or a Vera antenna on your roof, it was a big thing. But there was one house in the alley that didn't have an antenna. That was the house of Waveney Bentic. And Waveney Bentic's Zelda, Waveney Bentic neighbor Zelda start cussing Waveney. You ain't got no TV. Look on me roof, you know, it's where you seen there. That is Rex McKay and Vera. Where you want there, Waveney? Where you want there? And Waveney, the poor woman, she had to abuse back. And here was she gonna abuse back and tell Zelda. And don't worry with you, me husband coming home with a brand new TV. He come up with a 21-inch TV. And then the husband came home. And he says, you know, he's baffled, taking off his shoes. He said, Waveney, something strange happened when I was coming in the yard. Somebody shout out, look, 21-inch coming home. And the cultural center went up in an uproar. And again, I didn't know why the people laughing. Again, another phallic symbol. Look, 21-inch coming
21 inch coming home.
Yeah. But it was a TV. So
yeah.
So yes, I think I remember a few. I remember, yeah, very technical.
Yeah.
I remember a few lines. Though Michael Jordan, my friend Michael Jordan, he just remember lines on my play that I don't remember. And I said, bye, it's old lady. But at least I remember a couple.
Ariel, what's your biggest issue in Caribbean theater today? Your biggest issue with us, the Caribbean theaters?
My biggest issue with Caribbean theaters, I really can't answer that because I really don't know much about what's happening in the Caribbean theaters. I don't know. I got to skip that one.
I'll skip the one. How about respect or recognition? Which one you prefer?
Respect.
Okay.
You can't take a man's self-respect away. But recognition, that is so... You know, you look at these so-called influencers. A lot of them got this... It's nothing. I mean, it's jokes. Give me respect. Give me respect.
Okay. Respect, we'll take that. Payment or exposure, which one would you take?
Say that again.
Payment or exposure, which one would you take?
Payment or exposure.
Or exposure.
With exposure, there will be chances of getting more payment. Give me exposure. You know, that's a calculated exposure. Awesome, would translate into payment.
All right. Tell us one thing people must stop doing with playwrights' work.
People should respect playwrights' work and stop inserting popular idioms just to make people laugh. Respect the writer's work and don't change up anything to appease an audience who is there for nonsense. For example, let me give an example. I had a play where I had an actor playing the role of an old man who was taken in by a kind homeowner and given something to eat. Directed things, say, okay, the man invite you into the home and you sit down at the table and I'm up in the balcony watching down to see how it's going on. When the actor gets at the table, he starts to look around furtively and he starts to grab things and, you know, and I said, what this guy is doing? Who told him to do that? But he's getting the laughs. The audience is laughing. And I rushed down and I waited until he came out and I said, what the F you were doing on my stage? Of course, here. Because there's a phrase for that. You call it pandering to the audience. And when you write a play, and a director who is not mature decide to insert things to make people laugh, it's really it's not good. It's showing a lot of disrespect to the playwright. So don't add things to a man's play without asking him permission first. And if he thinks it should get in there, he will put it in. If not, don't. Write your own play.
So they should stop doing something. What should we start doing now?
In what?
With playwrights' work. What should we start doing about playwrights' work? We dealt with stop. Don't insert, but what should we start doing?
We should start respecting the playwright's directions because they were put there for a specific reason. And I'm saying this because, I remember the play I wrote called the From Whence We Came, the Chinese Experience. I was excited about getting a copy of the play. But when I saw a bit of it, I decided I don't want anything. I don't want anything from this play because the director reduced the play to something like a skit. There was no depth, there was no movement, there was no dimensions in terms of it was just line for line for line for line, and it's just like a little children's play.
Okay.
And so respect a playwright's directions, because directions in a play is part of how we express ourselves.
Awesome.
Special when we make an actor stand backstage and throw a line, we do it for a certain reason. We want him to announce, we want him to project.
Yeah.
But if you bring them close, you won't. So the directions is part of the playwright's toolbox. So respect it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Harold, one word to describe your journey so far.
Exhilarating.
Exhilarating. Once I had a little grandbaby, she came in the room and she said, "Grandpa, I am exasperated." Be like, she was just 6 years old. So,
wow.
When folks use these big words, but tell us some more. Exhilarating. Tell us some more because, I don't know big words too well,
And it's just a certain joy at creating, just a certain joy. What it is, for example, I remember I wrote a play called Filbert and Lorraine, which is really the visa wedding, the visa marriage that you probably saw. I stood on the balcony and I looked at this play and I felt great. It's like, Harold, you wrote this, you directed this. And a guy came next to me, he said, "Man, Bascom." He said, "Bascom, that is great work." And I said, "I know." and there's another reason a lot of people find me a little unbearable. They say, "Man, this man Bascom, he good, man, he good." But when you tell he good, he just tell you he know. In other words, we are from a country that believes in self-praise is no recommendation. I believe that if you know that you're good, say it. Blow your own trumpet, or else nobody ain't gonna blow it for you. People gonna choose who they want to blow the trumpet for. So in that respect, I'm a little of a radical, and I don't like it because he just tell me good. But it's creating is hard work.
Yeah. Who inspires you today, Harold?
Who inspires me today?
Yeah. So far in your life.
When an artist reaches a certain level in his journey, people who inspire them just fall away. It's like when I was much younger, there were films that I thought were great, and now I look at these films and said, "Man, that's a whole lot of BS," So I hardly got anybody who inspired me. I inspire myself,
You don't have to be inspired. You can be that inspiration, right? That is Eddie Neblett. He did that song called Reset. You don't always have to be inspired. You can be that inspiration. Yeah. Shout out to Eddie Neblett, man. One thing that people don't know about Harold Bascom. One thing.
One thing is that I have a hobby that consumes me. I like to play with model cars, radio controlled cars, very expensive things. But like right now, I have a radio controlled dirt bike, and I drive it every day. It is what I relax with. On some Sundays, myself and daughter, we would go to Stone Mountain with two RC vehicles called crawlers, and we would be crawling up the rocks and challenging ourselves. I love that. I'm an RC nut, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to find something to keep as therapy, you know. That's self-care. That's practicing that power of pause away from writing. But if you weren't a playwright, who would you be today?
Maybe a director, a film director. Maybe a pilot. Maybe a musician.
Okay.
Maybe a jazz trumpeter.
Jazz trumpeter. Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, I really like jazz. I like the trumpet. Miles Davis, my most favorite musician. So.
You probably would have been playing music with maybe my friend Colin Ford. May his soul rest in peace. Yeah. So I'm gonna drop some names in as we meet to this segue, as we're talking about some things, some music and stuff. Dr. Ellen Lewis Jones. A quick sentence about her.
Amazing friend and ex-client.
Was she the one that I wrote her poem?
No, that was Nandiola Crummy Wings' poem.
Oh, Crummy Wings. Okay, right. All right, let me go down the list. Valerie Rodway.
I like her music. I never met her.
Okay. Awesome. Is she Guyanese?
Yes, Rodway is the woman who wrote a lot of the Guyanese patriotic songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to look her up. Walter Rodney.
Walter Rodney, I never read his book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. But I saw him once when he ran the WPA. That was the first time I experienced tear gas. But brilliant guy. Next.
Okay. Next, all right. Jamie Pablo.
I met Jamie. We never met, but I mean, we interacted on one of his Zoom shows, and I was to appear as a guest on one of his shows, and unfortunately, Jamie died, man. But Jamie was doing some work. There was a lot of promise in Pablo. Liked him. He had integrity.
May his soul rest in peace. My condolences to you. GNS Kimbia.
I was associated with Kimbia in that I was an art director at something called the Guyana National Service Publishing Center. That was in opposite Sonata Textile Mill in the West Rheinveld area.
Yeah.
So I worked in the GNSPC, and I had staff members, artists who were GNS, but I was always a civilian. So from an observing point of view, it was an interesting time, but I was never in the GNS. And neither did I ever went to Kimbia. I went to Conarook and Papaya.
My sister, may her soul rest in peace too, Jean Greaves, Jean Harlick, when she served in the GNS, she was one of the first person who bought me my DVD underwear and my nice white vest, and from Kimbia. She used to be sending my boxes out to me from Kimbia, and I used to be part of the school service corps. Went up the Burbis River for a moment. You okay, Carol? You okay? Harold, you okay?
Yeah, I mean, you said you wanted a book You know, if you had told me before,
Yeah,
I would have get a book.
oh no, don't worry. We could always get that. But
But
I peeped at your page, so I'm running down this list because I'm a pirate. You have some cartoons on your page. Tell us about that.
cartoons or some black and white pen and ink drawings.
Yeah, kind of stuff like that.
I did a graphic novel, and I am still to get it published. And while I'm doing that, I decided to segue into turning it into the novel, into a novel. This manuscript called Something Sucks really derived from the graphic novel straight.
Okay. Okay. Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow.
Well, I mean, I studied about Hubert. I saw his sculpture in the public buildings compound. So beyond an academic reading of who he was, I don't know much about the guy, you know. But I know enough to know that he is one of the stalwarts that we need to remember and emulate. And of course, he's named in my play because the play ends with a roll call of different Guyanese, different Afro-Guyanese, and he is prominent in it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so rest in peace too. Wordsworth McAndrew.
Wordsworth is a significant character. I never met him, but I know his work, and I would bristle when people do his work, do his poem, Olag. Oh, lady with the wrinkled skin, let the Olag walk begin. And young people would do the poem, and they would know who wrote the poem. They would do the man's work, and some may even want to say it is their work, and they don't even know it was written by Wordsworth McAndrew. And that is sad, but Wordsworth was one of our cultural icons. I listened to his Creole shows, so I know him on that level.
Awesome. Showers of Tears, Johnny Braff.
Man, that takes me back to Linden seeing Johnny Braff coming out of Son Chapman lunch and people running behind Johnny. Johnny enjoyed that kind of little story. But I mean, good song.
It's like the rooster running. It's like a rooster running, eh? 16 chickens chasing him.
Yeah.
Philip Moore.
I knew Philip. And I remember a story. I used to teach at the Borough School of Art. You know, I used to teach graphics.
Okay.
And one day, Philip was coming in the yard. You know, he liked to come in, go downstairs and talk with those guys. And I called some of my students. I say, y'all know who the banner is? No, sir. And this is when I realized there's something going on wrong again. See, you guys don't know Philip Moore. No, they didn't know Philip Moore. Maybe they might have known him if he moved around with a suit, but he was just a simple guy. He got your own little spiritual beliefs. He does his paintings, but he was quite unassuming, simple. You see, walking around, he was an old bearded man, but Philip Moore was a cool guy. I liked him. I liked his work, and he was honest. I like.
Well, you got to tell us. You got to tell us more about him because you know more than that, right? He did something that is spectacular.
Well, he made the 1763 monument.
Okay.
And more, I wonder how many people know that Philip Moore is the guy who designed the 1763 monument or the coffee monument. Yeah. And it makes me remember how it was when the coffee monument came out. Poor Guyanese, ignorant of art and symbolisms and all these things. Say, what kind of ugly man he got up there? What the man doing, the man? The man masturbating or what? It's where, you know, it's very music. But
well, I had to guard
the guy who designed the monument. He was very Afrocentric. He believed in that. And if you check all the symbolisms with the things in his hands, Philip was the right man because there's a certain spiritual aspect to that monument that I think carries something about the African, the West African something. So Philip designed the monument.
Okay, Philip Moore. I had to guard it when I was working for LFS Bornham for a couple of years. We had to be out there and protect it. So I know I looked at it many times and tried to find the symbolism in it. So I'm glad you're bringing that out to me. Francis Kwame Faria.
Francis is a theatrical icon. And as myself and Michael Jordan, my friend, would say, you got to give Francis kudos. The man was one of the first. He was somebody, you know, the Tides of Susan Borg. Francis. So Francis was good for his time. But time passed on, and for many young people, his work became irrelevant. But Francis is Francis, many faceted. He became a journalist. He did some very good exposés of historical figures and history. So we worked together in judging Guy Fester. I know Francis well, very good playwright. And what else can I say? Good guy.
Yeah, okay.
Still batting.
Sheikh Sadiq.
Which one, boy? They got two.
Okay.
They got a guy called Sheikh Sadiq who came in the Visa Wedding. No, Phil Burton Lorraine. And then there's Sheikh Sadiq, the Indian writer. The man who wrote Bundari Boy, etc.
I think that one on your page, yes.
Sheikh Sadiq, I met him once when he worked at the Department of Culture. He is featured, he's one of the main characters in my play, Desperate for Relevance. He knew he was not a highbrow intellectual. And he got some, you know, he wasn't so much respected between the red people in the Department of Culture. But he was sincere, and he was one of Guyana's first self-publishers. Ma used to do your own books, you know. So I see him as an icon. Sheikh Sadiq, cool guy. He didn't wear his Indianness on his sleeve. He was just a cool guy.
Awesome. Remembering Sheikh Sadiq. Ras Michael June.
My boy Ras Mike. You know, I was telling Michael Jordan the other day. I said I would like to write something for Mike, as if Mike was still alive. Ras Michael June came as the character Mark in my first play at the Cultural Center. He played the role of the brother Mark. There were two brothers in the play. Adolph, who was Godfrey Rock, and Ras Michael June. And I think that was one of his biggest roles. He became very popular. You saw the range of this man. He was a poet. And with his poetic style, he was able to pull off some lines so beautifully, you know. So Ras Mike was a friend of mine. I helped design his book, Church and State. And I very sorry when he died. I think he went before his time, man. There was so much I think Ras Mike was left to put out. He came over here, things weren't right. He went back, the right thing to do. So I miss Ras Mike. Great poet. He is a guy who introduced dub poetry. He was an exponent of dub poetry. You know. Good guy.
Me and Rochelle have the same name written down. Edgar Mittelholzer.
Mittelholzer. That was a sad guy. That guy killed himself, burnt himself alive. But from what I've read, he had a problem. He did not like this. He was a mixed man, and he was in conflict with himself. He wished he was white. So poor guy. I can relate to him in that he was the first Guyanese to ever had a novel published without leaving Guyana, and I became the second. So in that respect, but that's a guy. His books I won't read. You know, I won't read his books.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay. All right.
Because I mean, his characters tended to put the black people in the yard, etc., and the lighter skinned people up in the towers. That was his time. That was his conflict. That was his thing. God bless him. May he rest in peace.
Yep. Samuel Salvon.
That's Trinidadian. Samuel was a very, very humorous writer, man. There's a story he wrote called Braxley and the Bed. where Bradley was hanging around the embankment, thinking of a place to rest the weary bones and to cogitate on the ways of life. Because his wife didn't want to sleep in the bed, and so he can't sleep. He got to sleep on the floor, and he used to go in the park and sit down on a bench and think about life. But he's a very great Trinidadian writer. I wish there were more writers like Stelvan and Naipaul in Guyana. You remember Miguel Street?
Miguel Street, yeah.
We got a lot of Miguel Streets in Guyana, but nobody writing. And there's a reason why nobody's writing. Because we have come from a society that disrespects creativity. We come from a society where parents will tell you, Cleveland, I want you to become a doctor, or I want you to become a lawyer. What? You want to become what? Artist? You're going to beg your bread. You become writer. And so, up to now, all the governments have not shown any interest in creativity. And so many of us have to leave. We have to just leave and go to countries like this, England, France. So, Stelvan was good. Like Stelvan.
So, very interesting information. Thanks for your education, Nicole Sample is saying. Hello, Narcy. Good night to you. Y'all please tell Mr. Harold good night, y'all. Rochelle, she wants to know if you're signing her book. Harold, let me drop this song for you. Let you go find your book and come back. Right after this song, we'll come back to you, and so you can read something for us tonight. Right? So let me drop this in while you look for your book. Let's do this.
Good.
From the soil of Guyana to the stages of the world, stories were never just written. They were lived, felt, remembered. Tonight, we honor the pen, the stage, the legacy. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Georgetown lights to destiny. We tell the truth, we set it free. Culture speak, let the drums reply. Lift this story, amplify. From the roots to the sky we cry. Caribbean spirit will never die. Ink on paper turn fire on stage. Every line carry truth and rage. Village stories, pain and pride. Now the whole world watching wide. From barrel to the visa scene. Life unfolding every dream. Macantali still echo loud. Hear the ancestors through the crowd. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Georgetown lights to destiny. We tell the truth, we set it free. From Guyana to foreign land, still the script in steady hand. Culture travel never lost, but respect must know the cost. Honor writers, pay what's due. Every story belongs to who? Not for depth, not for show. Give the flowers while they grow. Lights down, curtain rise, truth living in disguise. Voices calling from the past. Tell it right, make it last. Mentor hands, guiding flame. Legacy bigger than a name. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Guyana to globally. the art, honor the creator, protect the culture. This is legacy.
That's right. That's right. This is Legacy, and this is Mr. Harold A. Bascom. I'm yours truly, DJ Crane, your matured mixer. Here is Forefront today. And we wouldn't keep Mr. Bascom too long. We'll have him read some part of his writing tonight, and then we'll come back and close out. I know one person is asking if you do sign books. Do you sign books? If so, would it be a pleasure? If so, it would be a pleasure to have you sign my book when it comes in. Yeah, he's in Atlanta. I'll get it signed for you. Don't worry, Rochelle. I got you. That's right. That's my niece. She's asking for your signature. You see, you're important, man. It's a big deal, Harold. You are important. I'm telling you, man.
I'm going to read.
Very interesting.
I'm going to read a bit from my book, 101 Words That Tell Your Guyanese. The name of the book is
Harold Bascom.
Yeah, 101 Words That Tell Your Guyanese. And so there's a Guyanese word we use called Absalom. Absalom. Oh God, these are Absalom. Absalom. Absalom is a word used to label someone who seems always beset with problems. If it's not one calamity, it's another. Absalom, however, is another amusing Guyanese mispronunciation, this time of the name Absalom, the son of the biblical King David, who tried unsuccessfully to defeat his father's army in a major battle. With Absalom's rebel army routed, he fled on his horse. In doing so, he rode under a tree, got his long hair entangled in the branches, and was left hanging from the branches as the horse bolted on. What a predicament. Thus, Absalom was found and killed by his father's soldiers. King David was devastated. The king was overcome with emotion. He went up to the room over the gateway and burst into tears. And as he went, he cried, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." 2 Samuel verses 18:33. Well, let me give an example of how we use the word. Last week, he sprained his foot. 2 days later, bicycle knocked him down. And just last night, he slipped on the bridge and fell in the trench. The man is a real Absalom. Thus ended the reading.
Oh, just like that. We heard from Mr. Harold A. Bascom. I'm telling you, man, we have a legend right here among us, an icon, a mentor. And tonight, Forefront Today is so grateful for your presence and all the folks here who are coming on in now. You're late for the very good conversation. Ronnie White is now coming on in, Miss Donna Brotherson. You guys are so late. I hope you'll go back and listen to it.
So late.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good conversations here. Tonight, we didn't just interview a playwright. We encountered a custodian of culture, a defender of creative ownership, and a builder of legacy. This is Forefront Today. I am yours truly, DJ Quinn, your hope pusher. Together, we go far, and I hope that we can. So on behalf of Forefront Today, I want to thank you, Mr. Harold A. Bascom, for coming on in and gracing us with your presence. But I also want to ask you if there's anything I didn't, consider asking you that you think the world needs to know about.
Right now, the world needs to know that on Saturday coming, the GoFundMe page for the Afro Guyanese Odyssey will be launched. That's important. And once it's there, please, my people, share it as much as you could. We got to make this funding. Peace.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And also, there might be some folks you might want to shout out. Is there someone in the home, in the creative world that you think you want to big up, shout out?
Michael
All right.
Jordan, my editor, man. Michael Jordan, Michael A. Jordan, my editor. The writer of Camarang, the writer of The Girl in the Pink Pleated Skirt, my buddy friend, Michael A. Jordan, my editor.
Miss Maureen Chakwanjindu is saying it was a pleasure. Nicole is saying thanks again. And we are thankful for Rochelle. She's buying your book and she's going to get it signed because I'll be in the ATL for Memorial Weekend. Onika Grant, thank you so much for coming on in. Emerson Harlequin and Glenna Jillian Bailey, Vipos, my neighbor. Kendra McKee, thank you so much for coming on in from the Gigi Show. Miss Bonita Montague, good night to you, my big sis. And good night to all of you who are incognito. Sharon Montplaisir Green in Canada, good night to you. Let me see who else. Miss Beverly Lee, she was my teacher there at Rosignol. I interviewed her, man, and she took me way back, way back. Beverly Leach, thank you so much for coming on in also. And I think I saw Lavorne earlier. Giovanni Wilshire and Leonard Barker and Miss Sharon K. Benson. That's right. She still need to dry off from this celebration of being a newlywed. How are you doing, Sharon? Jason Benjamin and Denise Smith. Dolet Angus, my villager, good night to you, and thank you so much for coming on in. Gigi George from the Gigi Show was on with us. I hope she still is. Gigi Show is aired on Tuesdays and Saturdays. You want to be part of that on Facebook. Marlon Perry, good night to you, and Mr. Hiram Kenneth Ramprasad. Abiola Harley, his wifey, good night to you, and thank you so much for coming on in also. And Alexis Oslin, Margaret Lopez, Maureen John, Wendy Cole. Some of you are incognito, man. Make sure you show yourselves when you come onto this platform. It makes a difference when you say something. Say good night, you know. We put these things together for your benefit. And so make sure you come on in and tell the host good night if you know you admire his work or you learn something new, how impactful it is to you. You ought to come on in and say something, okay? Don't remain incognito, man. Say something. And so Lavorne is saying, thanks for sharing, Mr. Bascom. And Sharon Mumpis is saying, gracious to both of you. Mr. Bascom, want to say anything to any of our viewers, listeners?
I'd like them to be aware that I have a collection of short stories coming up. And I'd appreciate it if they support that book. It's called Love and New Road and Other Stories. It's going to be published maybe next month. Watch for it. And maybe I should come back and talk about it. Read a few bits.
Of course.
Yeah.
And where can they find your work?
It's not published yet. When it is published, it will be up on Amazon.
Or there might be some other work.
I'm doing the illustrations for it right now. I always illustrate my own work. So I'm doing the pictures.
But some of your past work, is it on Amazon or anywhere where books are sold?
I have a book teaching people how to write. That's not popular. I have an ebook, 101 words that tell your Guyanese. That's not popular with our people. They don't read much ebooks. They rather hard copies, and I might get some copies. I might order a set of new copies. So we could talk about that in a future expose. But
awesome.
I thank your guests, man. I thank your people. They feel nice, good people, even though I haven't seen them. But from what I'm listening, they're good people. Yeah. You have some good people following you, man. That's good.
Thank you. Rochelle said she enjoyed hearing from Mr. Bascom. Look forward to reading your books. Definitely please go out and find his books. Find his name first. And once you find him on Facebook, you can follow him whatever you do. And every link would be on his Facebook page. So find Mr. Harold A. Bascom on Facebook and follow him, like him, and make sure you connect with him if you need your book signed or anything like that. I'm going to take my leave of you here from Forefront Today. And I want to thank you once again on behalf of the crew here at Forefront Today.
Thank you, Cleveland. Thank you very much, Cleveland.
And you are my icon. You are a big deal to me, and I'll continue to feature you as long as I can. So feel free to come back to this platform anytime. Ronnie White is saying good night. He's late. Ronnie, we're gonna charge you, man. You gotta come in here early, man. He said good night. My first time on the show. I have known Mr. Bascom for our days of little boys. So you know it from boyhood days. Ronnie White.
Ronnie
you
White.
Pitch marbles together. You live in Atlanta. Yeah.
So, you know, with age, you can't remember certain names, you know. So maybe if I see Ronnie's face, I go, no.
Yeah. Ronnie's one of the pioneers who first moved to Atlanta, and one of those guys who started the Guyana Association and stuff like that. If my memory tells me well, a couple of people who went up there and got together and formed an association. Glenford, Sandy Ford, and so many others.
I wonder if that's the Guyana Cultural Association. May well be.
From Ronnie, I don't know. But quite a few people were pioneers way back in the 80s, 90s who went up there and started getting together and doing a lot of barbecues and getting Guyanese together from all over the various counties. Because, you know, we have 150 counties in Atlanta, and folks get together, especially Memorial Weekend. And that's why the tradition continues. That's why all roads should lead to the ATL for Memorial Day weekend. From Thursday, the flag raising starts. And so folks need to think about getting the hotels, Airbnbs, or get it to come by families, or come by URL if you got room there. You could take a few folks coming over there and throw back on the floor. You know, we can lie down anywhere. You know, we got carpet, we got blow up bed, you know, you got a garage and everything. We throw back anywhere. Especially as fellas, we throw back anywhere. But you know, when you carry the ladies, you got to make sure they have a nice room for themselves. You know, care of properly. You know, well, we as men, we can roll anyhow. I sleep in the car if I have to. But yeah, all roads should lead to the ATL this weekend, Guyana Association of Georgia. The big fun day is on the Sunday. The flag raising is on Thursday, and the welcome party on Friday. And then there's a lot of last lap on Monday.
I didn't realize that it's time for that again. Wow.
Yeah, the month of May, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th.
A few times, myself and the wife, we sold Polari, and we had our own little stand, you know.
Yeah. I normally volunteer there, so I don't know if I'll be volunteering this year. I need to hang out this year and have fun. But Miss Maureen and the folks there from the medical crew, they always hoon me in to do some work. So you never know, man. I always try to help in any way I can. So looking forward to see you Memorial Day weekend. Harold, I'll call you when I come down there.
Okay.
And Ronnie White, you know, Ronnie White is an entertainer. So I could show up at Ronnie's house, he's gonna chase me, and he's gonna bring out food, all kind of stuff, even his wife. So I got lots of good friends in Atlanta, man. So see you guys in Memorial Day weekend. So make sure you come back sometime, Harold, and let's talk about what you do, and let's know about how your GoFundMe is going. So once again, tell them where your GoFundMe gonna be out on this Saturday, where they can find it.
This Saturday coming. And once you get it, please share the link as wide as you could. We'll need it.
Yes. I'll have it on my page and I'll share it. And you guys, those of you who are here, please share it. Please share it. Once again, thanks again for coming on to Forefront today. We discuss a whole lot of things. We encountered a custodian of culture, a defender of creative ownership, and a builder of legacy. This is Mr. Harold A. Bascom, and I am DJ Quinn. Thank you. Bye-bye for now from this Forefront today.
Thank you.
All the best to you, sir. All right.
Peace, my brother.
All right.
From the soil of Guyana to the stages of the world, stories were never just written. They were lived, felt, remembered. Tonight, we honor the pen, the stage, the legacy. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Georgetown lights to destiny. We tell the truth, we set it free. Culture speak, let the drums reply. Lift the story, amplify. From the roots to the sky we cry. Caribbean spirit will never die. Ink on paper turn fire on stage. Every line carry truth and rage. Village stories, pain and pride. Now the whole world watching wide. From barrel to the visa scene. Life unfolding every dream. Macantali still echo loud. Hear the ancestors through the crowd. This is the stage of legacy. from the past. Tell it right, make it last. Mentor hands, guiding flame, legacy bigger than a name. This is the stage of legacy. Voices rise through history. From Guyana to globally. We stand in truth eternally. Drums of culture, let them play. Stories live beyond today. Raise the banner, make the way. Caribbean voices here to stay. Respect the art. Honor the creator. Protect the culture. This is legacy.